3 cars, 8 taxis were torched, and then later on in the evening, 3 foreign-owned businesses were set alight in different areas in and around Gqeberha. Of course, there's great concern that tensions between Somalian business owners and local taxi operators are going to rise. Police Minister visiting that area today, and as you heard, he's explaining that there are attempts to bring those two communities together. I'm joined now by Amir Sheikh, who is the spokesperson for the Africa Diaspora Forum. Thank you so much for joining us. So, first of all, could you give us an update on what you're hearing about levels of tension between Somalian business people in Gqeberha and local taxi operators? Have things calmed down after those talks today?
Thank you very much, Sally, for the opportunity. The situation seems to have been contained, and relative peace existed today ahead of the minister's statement today, and we are very happy. Alongside that meeting, our members had also had the opportunity to also meet with the leadership of the taxi association in Port Elizabeth. They exchanged contact, and we're looking forward to having a meeting so that we can also put a team that goes out for a fact-finding mission of what happened yesterday, to give peace and dialogue a chance, so that we can coexist well without any tension or without jeopardizing the lives or the business of one another.
The fact that things escalated so quickly when a minibus taxi and an Audi driven by, I think, a Somalian businessman, they had a crash. It seemed to escalate so very quickly. Do you have any understanding at this stage of who the aggressor was? Because I've heard reports that the minibus taxi operators sort of jumped into this fight, and then there were reprisal attacks. But also we've seen footage of, it looks like foreign shop owners dressed in Muslim gear, holding guns, marching through the streets. The police minister saying that's absolutely not on. You can't go about brandishing your gun. So are we talking about perhaps equal levels of aggression, or is it clear who started this fight?
Sally, while we appreciate the good work the taxi industries are doing for the community in terms of commuting from one end to the other, then again, we are not also happy with some of the attitude of the taxi drivers who think that they are a law unto themselves, or they are above the law. But one thing I want to leave is that we will going to leave the law enforcement official to investigate and find out who the perpetrators of this crime are. But one thing on record that I can say is that none of our members was caught on camera or came out with a gun, but it is up to the police, with the instruction given by the minister, to go after those who are brandishing guns and shooting at the public, so that at least they can be brought to book, or they can be investigated. But one thing for sure I know is that none of our members was seen outside or carrying a gun, whether it is a small firearm or a large firearm.
Right. The other thing that happened is the evening after yesterday's events, I think it was in nearby Zwide and KwaZulu, 3 businesses owned by foreigners apparently torched. Well, the police have confirmed that. What isn't clear, though, is whether it's possibly linked to what happened in the afternoon with the taxis and the Somalian businesses. What are foreigners in the area saying to you about those businesses that were torched? Do you have any more information for us?
Sally, even yesterday evening, areas around Costin, starting with New Brighton, Njoli, Motherwell, and areas where this incident happened, our members were warned and told to close their business and leave the country, because they have taken the law into their own hands. They have banned a car that was a livelihood for those community. And in the early hour of the night, we wake up with calls that 2 of our members' shops in Zweli Temba were burnt down, and then later on we had one on Soweto on the Sea, or in Zwede also, belonging to an Ethiopian national, coming also and attack. But it did not stop there. Also here in Soweto, Johannesburg, this morning, there were groups that were going around and asking our members that they are not welcome in the country and they have to leave because of what happened yesterday in Port Elizabeth. And we are also receiving a similar verbal threat targeting our members in some part of other country, especially in KwaZulu-Natal.
Yeah, that is worrying, and it's that ability for these sorts of polarizations to spread to different parts of the country. I want to play for you what the police minister said about undocumented foreigners. Let's take a quick listen.
As we come here as the police, we'll have to come with Home Affairs, we'll have to come with SARS people, we'll have to come with customs, so that all people that are here, they have papers to be in the country. All people that are here and making business, they pay taxes. You can't go to the country, make business and don't pay taxes. So we agree on that. So we're going to be around here for some place until things are settled. But we are encouraging that the business that are closed there, they must be opened so that the livelihood of the people here comes back and they stick within the law. If they don't stick within the law, police have responsibility of enforcing the law.
And I'm sure you'll agree that any foreigner in South Africa should be documented. My question to you is, when anti-foreigner sentiment rises, do people being xenophobic make that distinction between people who have papers and people who don't? And I was just looking at the tone on social media. The anti-foreigner sentiment is very quick to rise. And, of course, it doesn't necessarily translate on the ground. But what you're telling me is that there are already some rumbling. So what the police minister had to say, do you have an issue with that at all?
It is sadly, to be sincere, what the minister is saying, and playing also the issue of documentation whenever a migrant is mentioned, is totally actually reckless, irresponsible, and can also, escalate actually the situation at all. I need to tell you that 27 years into democracy, and since our members have moved in, not all of us actually are now undocumented or in refugee status. Some of us are permanent residents, some of us are naturalized citizens of this country. And for the first time, 3 members from the migrant community are contesting on a political seat in the upcoming local government election. That showed us we have actually moved from being once undocumented to asylum seekers, refugee, permanent resident, to a naturalized citizen of South Africa who have got equal rights. I agree with the minister on one thing, that all migrants must be documented, but playing this in a time like this will be responsible for being reckless and irresponsible from the minister's side.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I have to ask you, we've heard that even when the minister was visiting this afternoon, there were a few moments when it was somewhat tense, but we've heard it's a little calmer now. From what you're hearing from the people that you know in that area, do they feel the worst is over and things are going to calm, or are they still on high alert?
After today's meeting, actually, with the Soweto business, with the leadership of the Taxi Association, we believe that at least, the situation will be contained. They were more than willing to engage with our members. They engage contact with them, but they are opportunistic outside of the Port Elizabeth who are fueling this or taking this matter actually, in order to actually sustain their actually whims. And we have been seeing this reported in many parts of the country. While I believe that the situation in Port Elizabeth will be contained, I believe also our members may come under attack in many other parts of the country by opportunistic groups that are actually willing to do anything, especially in an electionary period when we have only about 2 weeks to go to actually local government election.
Yeah, you make a very good point. It is a very opportunistic time indeed. It's good to know that things in Gqeberha have calmed. Let's hope it stays that way. And thank you so much for chatting to us this evening. Amir Sheikh, spokesperson for the Africa Diaspora Forum. And while things seem calm in Nelson Mandela Bay, there are concerns, he says, about anti-foreigner sentiment on the rise following that incident in other parts of the country.